this is the shortest month of the year, and but we may have, with all this stuff we're going to be talking about, we might have the longest Tech Talk Zoom session. So we'll make up for it one way or the other. Just to give you a brief outline, we're going to start with some news from the text team via Jamie. I'll be covering that. She's not able to join us. Oh, and there's Rob. Excellent. And then and talking about some tree apps, a few things there. WikiTree browser extension update, and Murray's going to help us with that. BioCheck is on holidays this month, so there's no BioCheck update, but Kay would be happy to answer any BioCheck questions people have. So even though BioCheck is on vacation, I think they still are accepting questions. And if not, then suddenly her video may just disappear if she doesn't want to answer any questions. But I'm sure she will. And then Rob's going to show us the one new feature, and then Murray's got a couple really cool things that we're going to talk about: Canadian names and an AI profile. So that is the grand overview. So let's get into it. First off, Jamie provided a really nice long update from the tech team today, and she's been working super hard and is now getting some well-deserved rest. So she's not able to make it for tonight. But a couple things you may have noticed over the last week or so, if you went to a profile, especially if you had the WikiTree browser extension enabled, when you look down the side, it looked like there were ghost entries, like either they were missing siblings or people in the family list, or there were duplicates, or there were extras and they were just sort of blank with a bracket. And even if you weren't using the WikiTree browser extension, there was double brackets around different things. So they have fixed that so the ghosting should no longer happen either whether with or without the WikiTree browser extension. So things should be back to normal now. So I highlighted that on the roundup, the Saturday roundup, in case people were worried about it. So you may have seen it there, but if you didn't notice it, then great, it's fixed. The really big news, at least the big news for me, and many of us here, is that the API refactor has finally been done. And the biggest part of that is that now we can access the biofather and the biomother when we do a get person or get people call from the API. So this is for people who use the developers who either create tree apps or independent apps from WikiTree, or extensions like the WikiTree browser extension or Sourcer. We can now access not only the primary mother and father of a profile, but if there's a biological mother and or father added to a profile, we can access that as well. So that means that certain apps now have access to two types of pedigrees. So once I found that out, then this afternoon I have been reworking my fan chart to add that logic. So I did give a brief preview of it last month. And so you saw how it looked. And so I could show you the same thing, but it looks the same. The difference is, instead of cheating and hard coding it and just giving them the four parents that I have, the biological and the adoptive side, and hard coding it in, so that no matter whose name you put in, you got my sets of parents. Now it actually uses the actual data from WikiTree. So if I go to mine, it looks the same on mine. But if you go to someone else's, if they don't have bio parents, then that part of the tab button bar disappears and you just get the regular fan chart. But if you go to someone else who does have it, it'll show up. So there's a few little tweaks I have to do before I can release that. But I'm hopeful that in the next day or so, I'll be able to release that. And then when Jamie is able to, that will go live on the tree apps. And then in terms of tree apps, the next app that I'm going to be working on to make it bio-friendly, is my word for it, or adoption friendly, depending on which way you want to look at it, is the DNA confirmation app. Because currently it only goes with the mother and father, and it just assumes mother and father mean biological mother, biological father. But for people who have added a biofather and biomother, they haven't been able to use the DNA confirmation app because it goes the wrong way. But now I will fix that. So that's sort of the next priority of me. And then SuperTree would be after that. Um, I don't know, Murray, if you have any insight, or Rob, if you have insight into what that API, what the implications are for the extensions.
Um, for for Sourcer, it uses the API when it's extracting info from a WikiTree profile, but it uses it kind of as a backup. So it can extract everything without the API, but then it extracts it with the API as well and tries to resolve them. So currently, I did the new feature I've been working on. I am using the bio parents, extracting the bio parents, but I've been doing it from the page, scraping the page. So now I can update that to use the API as well. But I try to make it so that even if you're not logged into the API, it all works.
Oh, nice.
Um, yeah, Ian hasn't mentioned anything specifically to me about changes to the
Hmm.
browser extension in the light of this, but I expect that he will soon. But if I may, I'd like to make a comment because I know
Sure.
that for you,
Hmm.
the distinction of parents versus bio parents is
Hmm.
sort of normal, and yet
Yeah, I know.
for me, because I don't have any adoptive parents,
Hmm.
um, it gets confusing, and I wonder whether we need to talk about adapting the terminology so that we're all so it makes sense to all of us.
I was wondering about that too. And actually, do I have my let's see. So there is example. Now you should be seeing my fan chart, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
So here's the fan chart, and this is in combo mode. So I showed this off last month, right? Now, so I have an
Yeah.
option to go from adoptive mode or biological mode or combo mode. And we briefly mentioned it. Someone brought it up, is adoptive really the right term? And I was wondering about that, and I thought, well, I could, and I think I might do this this might be a setting, what you want to label this. And I thought one thing I could just call this dad and mom and then bio parents, because for most people, the two on the if they're, if you have a combination like I do, this is my dad and my mom. These are the biological parents that I have, neither of which I actually got to meet either. So, but I know other family members from this side and stuff, and of course, I've adopted all these people in terms of profiles and whatnot. But yeah, I'm wondering if there's a different like or parents and bio parents.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
tricky, isn't it? Because like in
it
my
is.
tree, I don't really have any adoptive parents, but I have NPEs. So at some point, if I find out who the biological parents are, I could add them. But in that
Hmm.
case, it would be kind of parents of record versus biological parents, and it might be just the mother would be just one mother, but there would be a father of record and a
Hmm.
biological father.
Kay,
Right.
you had a
I,
thought?
yeah, I just did a little test. I ran biocheck for
Hmm.
you,
Yeah.
uh, looking at one generation of ancestors, reporting all profiles, and it found all four.
Yes.
So
Isn't that cool?
without
Yeah.
changes,
Yeah.
when you call get people
Hmm.
or generations of ancestors, it returns both sets.
Yeah.
And does it distinguish them?
No.
No, well, I don't know if the return values distinguish them or not.
They uh
It
from what
could
I can tell,
possibly.
it doesn't. So that's why I had so if I just did one generation, I'd get four parents. But they map nicely to mother, father, biomother, biofather. But before we had the biofather and biomother, the get people did give all four. So I could see, well, this is the mother and this is the father. The other two must be the bio mother and the bio father. So I could do some extra logic in there. But I thought, well, that's a lot of extra logic to program when it's going to be solved in a couple weeks. So I decided not to.
Yeah,
Because I
we
just,
we could look at the JSON that comes back, the return, to see
yeah,
what's in there.
yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
But you can build the pedigree out, but it's not automatically given to you with that. But the fact that you can get all of the ancestors all at once so that your biocheck can automatically check them all, that's pretty cool. Yeah. So yeah, I think the naming of this inner circle, and of course, unless you only actually see those labels on if you're in combo mode, if you just go straight biological, you just get the biological parents, and if you go straight, well, adoptive or whatever we're gonna, if whatever we might change that to, you just get the adoptive parents or the
You know,
mom and
when I was
dad.
doing standard, I'm not going to recommend this, but when I was doing standards work, we often made a distinction between de facto and de jure.
Oh, de facto and de jure. Oh, that's not going to be confusing for people at all. Oh, a soup du jour.
No, no,
Um,
deep Jure, not Jour.
oh, okay.
Yes, yes, legal parents versus actual parents.
Okay.
And whereas you and I would see that differently, right? You think of your actual parents as your adoptive parents,
Yes.
and I would think of the actual parents as being the blood parents.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so it is confusing. Anyway, we
Hmm.
can come back to this later.
We can come back. I think this is the topic for a whole new G2G post. So
Right.
we will come to that. One other thing I will mention though, in case you're wondering, if you have a scenario like Rob you mentioned where you have, a set of parents that you've grown up with, and then you find that one of them that there's a bio dad who's added to the mix. Um, in this scenario, what I would do is that the first option, the legal parents, I guess in this case, would be the mom and dad who you raised. The bio parents would be the bio father and the natural and the actual bio parents. So one person, the mother, would show up in twice in that scenario, and then in the combo, you would have the legal parents, the mom and dad, plus one bio father, often as on the own. So that's how I plan to handle it. If there's instead of two complete sets, if you've got a half a set, like which I think makes sense.
So you're
Um,
talking about a step parent scenario.
I guess, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that would
Well,
work.
or an MP. I was talking about it as an MPE.
But the same, it would amount to the same in terms of the way the fan chart would handle it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah. Okay, so I didn't plan to show off the fan chart or talk about it, but there we go. In terms of other things, in terms of tree apps, one thing Ian did do is he added an option to the Ahnentafel Ancestor List. So when you go to the tree apps, that's one of the options up here. And by default, it shows your ancestors in list view, and it looks like it takes the mom and dad view. So the Clark and McIsaac view here. So there's that list. And he has added a report view to this app now. He had added the report view last month to a different app.
Right.
And this now he's added it to the Ahnentafel ancestor list. And so when you click on that, it changes it and gives you the type of the report that you might see in a family history book. And basically, it uses the entire biography from your WikiTree profile and then adds that and then goes through in by generation by generation. He did mention there was an issue with printing, and I don't know if he's overcome that or not, but I'm sure that if it is an issue, then it will be fixed shortly.
I haven't
But
heard that it's resolved yet.
no, but I'm sure he's working on it, he and Jamie, and so it will eventually, I'm sure, get resolved. But that's a new feature in the tree apps. Um, And I think that let me just go back to the site improvements. Along with BioFather, BioMother, the other thing that Jamie said, there's a new call that we can make, and that's the get connections call. So that is pretty exciting. I probably don't won't be using it for my fan chart, but I can see it being useful in the Ancestor Webs app, or lots of different apps where it should give you the path from one person to another automatically without having to build two separate pedigrees and then see where they overlap. So it's basically taking all the logic and the brains that are in the connection finder and making it accessible to programmers, developers. So that's very exciting. Um, and we'll see what cool apps can be built because of that afterwards. Another thing about the non-certified user can no longer add images to pre-1500 or pre-1700 profiles. My question is, why would anyone who's not even a certified WikiTree user want to add images to those profiles? It seems like a funny thing to want to do.
Pirates.
Well, I guess when they say non-certified user, they don't mean they could be a certified WikiTree honor code signer, but just not someone who's certified to work on pre
If
1500.
you don't have your pre 1500 or pre 1700 badge, if you haven't been
Uh,
approved to work on them, then you can't add them. So somebody can't come in and add a coat of arms to like 500 pre 1500 profiles. Stop
oh,
that kind of thing.
does that happen? Okay, maybe well, that's good to know. Okay. I was thinking while random people from the internet coming to these specific profiles, why would you be okay? That makes a little more sense, I guess. Oh, okay. The semi-auto link update now tells you what IDs were changed, and there's a bug for the last name of the birth that was fixed. Okay. And just a warning that next week is Roots Tech Week. Some of us will be there in person. We're very excited about that, including yeah, Rob is going to be here. Well, um, and the tech team. So there probably won't be an update here on G2G, but there'll be lots of fun. If you are coming to Roots Tech, please drop by the WikiTree booth and say hi to us because we'd love to see you there in person. Because Roots Tech is just one big giant tech talk Zoom call in person. Okay. One thing about the API refactor, adding those changes is that it may break something. Some things may act differently than you expect. And if they do, then please click on the answer of this post so that you can answer that so that we can zoom in on that. Okay. Someone has already suggested there might be something with the DNA confirmation, so I will look at that as soon as possible. In the the WikiTree browser update, WikiTree browser extension update, Murray is going to talk about the new WikiTree Plus query function. Before he does that, though, I thought I would just give a very quick preview of what the WikiTree Plus is for the benefit of those who haven't seen it before or used it before. Um, and so basically, WikiTree Plus lives on a different server from the primary WikiTree server. It's the data that it accesses gets updated once a week, and it's all public profiles. So there are no private profiles or living people here unless they have public profiles. Um, so um, that's where all the data lives. And the WikiTree Plus is basically a framework that you can use to access that data and make queries to return results of profiles that match certain criteria. And you basically use WikiTree Plus if you're searching for something, whether you're searching for a specific profile that meets certain criteria that you're looking for. Based on a location or names or or profiles that you've created perhaps in the past or profiles that are closely connected to you in some way or some type of location. So there along the left side, there are sort of six main functions. The one that by default always opens up is the suggestions one. And that's because this whole site was created basically for the data doctors and for people who are working on improving the quality of the WikiTree profiles and looking for errors, common errors that need to be fixed. And those are called suggestions. And the data doctors use that a lot. But if you're just starting out with trying exploring WikiTree Plus, then you probably don't want to use the suggestions section. You want to go just straight to the search. And in the search, there is basically the text search area is what you're searching for. And that's where you're going to start off. And if you just put in your own WikiTree ID in here, your name dash and then a big number, and you hit get profiles, you will get a bunch of profiles that are connected to you. So ones that you are the manager of or related. Now, uh, right now it says there's more than 500 profiles that are connected to me, and I could get suggestions on that, or I could show them on a map. And it'll take a sec, and then it'll map them. And so they're all over the globe, and you could even zoom in. I thought, who is down here in South America? Turns out that is a distant relative from my wife's side who moved to Brazil. Um, but if we now go back here, you could also zoom in on profiles that are locations. So say we wanted profiles that lived that took place in Updegrove, had the word Updegrove in it somewhere. So we have some that use Updegrove as a last name, and then we have others that lived in a little place called Updegrove. And it's just showing a few of them. There are 208. So if I wanted to change my page size to maximal, then when I hit get profiles, instead of just showing the first 20, it's going to show all of them. And I could scroll them all down all and see them all. And if I go to let's see, is it the very bottom? If I go to the very bottom, now, can you see at the very bottom where it says group field? Are you seeing that? Give me a thumbs up if you're seeing that. Yeah, thank you. Okay. I'm going to zoom in a bit more because this is a feature I don't use very often, but it is quite cool actually. You can, if you group them by field, so if I group it by gender, then it's just going to tell me how many of those 208 are male and female. And that's interesting. I've got almost an exact even match. But what if I want to say, to show, let's see, what's birth location? So a bunch of them will be Updegrove. So there's Updegrove, but then others, the ones that have Updegrove as their last name, will be all over the place, sort of thing. And of course, you can use any one of those, age and death. So how does that break up? And you can see how old people were and whatnot. So there's some really neat stuff that you can do in terms of investigating with the stats. And the cool thing is once you've got that, say, well, what if I want to investigate all of those 75-year-olds, the people who died when they were 75? I could click on one of those to go to one of the profiles, or I could click on all, and then those specific 8 should show up here. I don't know why that didn't. It's supposed to. Maybe that particular. Let's go back to birth country. Let's try that, see what happens. Scotland. Let's go all those in Ireland. There we go. There's all the ones that were born in Ireland. So that's just a very quick tour of a couple of things that you could do with the WikiTree Plus. Now, you notice that to do that, well, first of all, I use very simple queries here. And if you click on this question mark here, it will load up the text, the search, and there's a whole pile of different special keywords that you can use to really refine your query to get dig really deep. Like if you want to limit it to a certain century or to a specific, something that has a specific category, all those sorts of things. So you can get really precise to find certain profiles that fit a criteria that you're searching for. But that is where it starts to get really complicated. And that's when people start to glaze over when they watch Ask Alesh, or people suggest you should use WikiTree Plus, and then the glaze over. And that is the problem that the WikiTree browser extension new feature is about to solve. So Murray, take it away.
I go to apps and I go down to WikiTree Plus.
Mm-hmm.
And I already did that, so I'm going to open it there. That was just to show people how to find it. So,
Good. Didn't do that.
so here I am in WikiTree Plus, just the same as Greg was showing.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm going to open this up. And so I can do a search by WikiTree ID, by last name at birth, all last names or first name. And so let's go with last name at birth. And I'm going to pick my own last name.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to pick a first name, which is Henry. And why will become obvious later. But for now, we're going to just look for all the Henry Maloneys. You may notice that there's a tab here with Henry Maloney. So we got 23 different profiles of people named Henry Maloney.
Mm.
Okay. Now I'm going to go back. And I am going to admit someone. And then I'm going to change that spelling to Mahoney. And I'm going to show you that there's 11 Mahonies. Okay? And the reason I'm showing this is because my great uncle, Henry Maloney, was also known by the name Henry Mahoney. And so I had to learn how to do searches under both conditions. And I was using AI to help me do that. But let's go back here.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can add dates. We can add profile statuses. So if I want all orphans whose last name at birth is Maloney, then here we are.
Wow.
Okay. So what the query builder does is it's grouped all these names that Greg was pointing out that this is where it becomes difficult, and it's put them all in this user interface to make it easier for you to be able to access it and try and figure out what the heck you're doing. So you can set up relations, magic words. There's a whole bunch of magic words.
Nice.
Right, certain centuries, certain decades, ages, DNA. So we might want mtDNA or yDNA or GEDmatch, etc. Management, who's the creator, when it was last changed, category words, etc. Okay, and then for suggestions, you can search by the suggestion IDs.
Right.
Okay. Now down here in the SQL area, we can build. We got an SQL wizard, and honestly, this is where Greg comes in because I haven't got a clue. So we could use the SQL wizard, and maybe we'll come back to that, and Greg will show us how he might use it. And then the query will shape itself down here. So we'll go with last name at birth is Maloney, and last name at birth is Mahoney, and first name at birth is Henry. Okay, and so it made a query here. And you can see, there it is. And it also created a specific URL so that you can grab this URL and save it somewhere if you want to put it on a page where you might want to hide it behind just a single word. Look for Henry. Okay? So, I'm not an expert on WikiTree Plus. I can't show you all the details of how you would use this, but My goal here today was to show you the basics, that this is all available to you. You can add an and group. You can create duplicate groups. You can delete a group. You can, there's all kinds of stuff that you can do with this. And you can work in text search, or you can work in the suggestions. So you can he's basically separated into two areas. If you're working on your all your suggestions, and that there's a lot of suggestions that are generated weekly, and sometimes it's hard to keep track of what you're looking for, and so this is some place where you can do that. You can save a query.
Nice.
Oh, that's the saved ones. So you can save a query, and now,
We'll go back to the text search and save that.
Oh, right. Go back to the text search, because that's where the query is, right?
Yes.
Save the query, my query. Okay. And then we have a saved query, my query.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to delete that. Don't want that. You can copy a query so that you can start a new one. Go ahead, guide me.
Okay, well, I was going to say, does that get saved in the same place where your clipboard notes and your shortcuts get saved?
So far as I know, it's saved in the browser cache, yeah, or
Right.
in the browser database.
Okay, so when you update the database, or you back up the database monthly, because it now notifies you to do that,
Right.
it would be saving these queries as well.
Yes, I believe so.
Excellent, fantastic.
That wasn't a question I asked, but that's a good one. Would you like to guide me towards creating some interesting query?
Well, I was going to say the SQL ones are really specific. So, they take a while to build, and if you get any character wrong, like missing a semicolon or whatever, then they don't work. So I think it would take up more time than is worth.
Okay.
But what I will suggest is that what Alesh has done in the where I clicked the question mark and it opened up the help document, the
Right.
free space page, where he has put specific examples of SQL queries and built them out, basically from the Ask Alesh episodes,
Right.
and he's got lots of examples there. I'll give you one example of when we needed to use this when a general WikiTree Plus query wasn't good enough. Is if we wanted to find someone who was born within a certain time frame, and so we actually had to use the SQL to basically count the number of days. Like it wanted to be within 6 months. Like we knew it was in the summer time, so basically anywhere between March and October or something. And so the SQL, because it knows the exact birth date on every WikiTree profile, could query that range, to that specificity. But there are no, you can do regular searches based on decades and centuries, but not to that level. But the SQL can get that deep, but you have to get the syntax exactly right. But that's an example of how, pinpoint you could make that WikiTree Plus can go.
So we can do a born before date.
Oh,
Let's just go with that one.
Oh, wow.
You wanted me to fill in all required fields. Okay. SQL. Okay, so
Well, that's going to be it, isn't it?
Now we're gonna. That's everybody, right? Yeah.
Born before today.
We'll pick a date. Pick the fit. Okay, 1950s.
Yeah.
50s. Okay. SQL. Okay, good. And what else?
So if you wanted people born in a certain range, you could do born before date and born after date.
Born after date, yeah. Exactly.
Combined would give you a range.
Yes.
So we'll make that, and we'll make it 1950. Oops.
That's weird.
9. Huh. Okay, that's weird.
That is.
Sure didn't expect that, but okay, you know what I was going for.
You didn't type fast enough.
That's right.
Something like that. Death country equals
Oh, nice.
Canada.
The default.
Okay. And what else can we add? Okay, we're just going to run with that.
Let's try that. What happens?
It's not
no
found.
profiles.
Okay.
Oh, because it was still using Henry.
Right.
The initial query is I'm pointing. You can't see where I'm pointing.
Yeah, no, I can see, I can see it right here.
Yeah, I was going to say. So the way the SQL works, that goes after all the other stuff that you put in your text search.
Right.
So it narrows down the text search. And one of the things about SQL is that because it is so database and servers heavy,
Yeah.
the queries you can't use queries that have more than, I don't remember the exact number, like 100,000 profiles to narrow down. So if you said lived in New York State, that would just be too many profiles to process. So you'd have to zoom in somehow before you did the original SQL.
Right. Okay.
Now, if you got rid of Henry or at least one of those, then you might have some that fit that profile. But
Well,
we
I
only
think
have 11 and 23 different profiles for Henry.
Yeah, let's not worry about that.
Yeah.
We've covered the basics.
Yeah.
And
So it's
people
time
can
to
now
play.
be aware that this exists, and maybe you'll demonstrate this on your sessions with Alash.
Yes. Yeah.
So there was one question in the chat from Chris. Like, where do you get the query builder? How do you make that show up?
That's a good question. So let's go look.
I have a question because I wasn't watching, listening.
Oh.
Does it let you use wildcards? Can you build a query using a wildcard? So you can search for your Mahoney with your wildcard for that character.
Oh, you mean using regular expressions? I don't know that he's done that.
Okay. If it's the basic SQL going in, you might be able to just use a % for one character or a star for multi-characters.
Okay, I'll talk to him about that. That'd be like using like using sed or using
because that would solve your Mahoney problem.
Yeah. So here is the WikiTree Query Builder setting.
Not that right.
And so you can go in through the WBE page, like as I've done here, or you can go up here, click on that, and type in query, and now you're there. And you just enable that, and then every time you open WikiTree Plus, you will find this Query Builder button. So you just press on that, and you're there. And when you have built your query, you just say open in WT Plus, and you're there. Now, while I'm here, I just want to show you that there's one other thing that that Ian added, and that is this button over here, Hide Whitelist Activity. And this is mostly relevant to data doctors and project leaders and whatever. So if you have a whitelist, so for example, my whitelist is empty. Well, I used to have a whitelist that included Ian and Greg, so that if they did rapid activity, I wouldn't necessarily see, they wouldn't be flagged, because if they want to do rapid activity on the pages that I'm involved with, that's their business. Anyway, so now if I let's see, we'll manage whitelist and we'll add Clark 11007.
You got it.
Okay, and Rob, who are you?
Pavey. You're muted. I couldn't read lips.
429.
49?
429.
429. Okay. So there we go. So now I've added Rob and Greg, and so now if there was any activity on this page that involved Rob and Greg, I could just hide it. Okay, and so this is useful for a project leader like Patty, for example, who
Hmm.
the project leaders are frequently watching these feeds to see who's doing what within their project, and so if they can exclude certain people, then the list will be less dense, and they'll be able to focus on the people that they're really worried about. And notice here, there's a button here that's only activity by new members. So very often, a project leader is going to want to watch what the new members are doing and help them along. And so the show whitelist activity is the opposite of that. We know the person who's working on these things, and we're not worried about what they're doing, so we're just going to not pay attention to them.
So with
Okay,
whitelist edit bot,
say again.
whitelist edit bot.
Yeah,
Oh, is there edit bot on this page?
There's some pages that edit bot will show up in the activity feed, or Alesh will show up in the activity feed.
right,
A lot when he's doing stuff.
right. That's true. Yeah.
This is a feature that isn't released yet, so this is just a sneak preview. But when you're creating citations in Ancestry, a lot of Ancestry records have these kind of things where they have things in square brackets, which are corrections, like either user supplied corrections or AI or something has put in an alternate value. So the current release of Sorcerer, it'll always just use the main one in the citation. But now in this, what I'm working on, it will add this yellow line at the top of the menu,
Wow.
and you can select the alternate one, as these two are actually the same. And then if you do build a narrative with citation, say,
Hmm.
and then you edit the citation just to see what it says. Then you can see in here, actually, it's probably not the best example. That's a different way of doing it. So here we can select this, and then we can say search, family search, for example. And you'll see that it wants me to log in.
Of course. It has such a short attention
Yeah.
span. Family search.
So in this case, it's not a great example because it's really the last name should be Cabeza
Ah, yeah.
Ibaka, but I guess I'm not detecting that. That's one issue with, I guess, Ancestry records. There's no way
How do
of
you know where to break it up?
saying which is the first name, which is the last name.
Hmm.
But here's another example which has got tons of user corrections in the name, the birth year, and also the age. I guess people, obviously, the initial transcription was pretty dodgy on this one. So this one will give you choices for all of them.
Wow.
So you could say, actually, I want to use Right Honorable William Cowper, and he was actually aged 90 at the time. So the estimated birth year would be that. And then I can say search, well, search Find My Past this time.
Ooh.
And that wasn't very successful. I should have tried this demo on myself first. But basically, it's extracting. It will use whichever ones you suggest. If I guess I said if he was age 40, then when I do build a citation, and I guess there's a lot of connected citations with that one. It has to go off and collect. But now if we look at the citation, it should say he was age 40.
Age 40, yeah. There you go.
It doesn't, in this particular case, I've got it set to give you a list. There's options to Ancestry. You can either have it make a sentence here for the data or
Right.
create a list. So if it creates a list, currently I list all the options, 20 or 40. But if it was doing a sentence, like if I did options, citation, Ancestry, include the record data as a sentence, and then go back to this guy. I'm going to select Cowper this time, 40. and then build a narrative with citation. Here we're now getting a sentence, and it's using the values that I selected.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
The other correlation that Celia suggested as another use for this is on with the biological parents. So if you wanted to, this person you can see has
Right.
parents, mum and dad,
Yep.
and biological parents. So if I say wanted to do a search based on the biological parents, I could switch to the biological parents and
Nice.
then search Ancestry, say, and it'll use fill those out as the parents here.
That's smart.
So there also, I plan to add this to family search as well, and that there can be family search records where there's like 4 different variations of the residence location, for example, where people have put in alternates. So I hope to get that working too, but it's a little more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the sneak peek.
Okay, good. Now the profile you were just at there that had the both sets of
Yeah.
parents, it just occurred to me that it says daughter of and then biological daughter of. So
Mm.
the corollary to that would be parents and biological parents, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and I don't know if I've got any WBE things changing that. I can't remember which way around it is by default.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you think that's a WBE?
Well, I think there might be a WBE thing that changes that, but I can't remember what the default is.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if there's
Right. I do remember there was something about you could use siblings instead of brother,
um,
sister, right?
there's like the change family list one, but I think that's the one where it puts it on the side.
Side, yeah.
But then there might be a
Oh,
choice.
there we
Yeah,
go.
you can either say parent, sibling, spouse, and children instead of daughter of, brother of, sister of.
Mhm.
So if I don't move it to the right hand side, but I say do that, and then rewind. Oh, oh, yeah. So now you have this view. I guess
Mhm.
there's a lot of different choices in that
Right, yeah.
that
But it
one.
doesn't say adoptive parents or natural parent. Yeah, so parents,
It's just
maybe
parents
not.
and biological parents.
Mhm. Just
Um,
thinking back to the fan chart
yeah.
because everything's a
So
fan chart.
yeah,
And
you could look for all these variations. Okay.
cool. Okay,
Okay.
thanks for sharing that. And now Murray is going to talk about Canadian place names.
In December, I went to visit my brother Peter in Ottawa. Peter works for the government. He works for an MP in Ottawa, and so before that, I had been talking to Ian and Riel about the locations database that they're building. They're working on, and it's something that's meant to help you when as you're putting in locations. Currently, we rely on Family Search for those locations, and that isn't working out so well because Family Search has a lot of bogus locations, and so those bogus locations are all over our database. And so Ian wanted to build this database so that we'd be able to do that more easily. And I think was it last month or the month before we gave a demo of that and showed
Yeah.
some examples of that. Anyway, so I thought, well, gee, I'm curious about the fact that you're building these databases of country place names, and that you're not going to the standards bodies.
Source. Yeah.
And so I thought, well, maybe I'm not going to stop them from doing what they want with South Africa and England, but maybe for Canada, we could go through the standards body. And so I had my brother contact the body responsible and set up a meeting for me, which he did. And so while I was in Ottawa, I went and met these nice people at just a minute, because I can't, my memory doesn't work as well as it used to be. The Geographical Names Board of Canada. And I met with Steve Wesley, Jean-Luc Fournier, and Olivia Wright. And I have to say, they were really, really nice people. They spend a lot of time dealing with place names for Canada, and but most of the uses for that have to do with things like mining and dams and stuff like that. So they were really intrigued by our use of place names, and we got to spend a long time talking about different aspects of what makes a place name database useful, and how theirs works, and etc. So I had the opportunity to talk with them for a while. Mr. Fournier, Jean-Luc Fournier, Fournier happens to be a name that's in my family trees, and so we talked a little bit about that fact. And when by the time I left, they were telling me that how happy they were that they had this meeting, that it really changed the complexion of their day and their week, and then they look forward to hearing from us again. So what I want to do now is just show you something that I threw together with the help of what's it doing?
It looks like someone is trying to write on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want that. Go. Oh,
No.
there we go. Go away. Go away.
Hello, developers. This explainer will detail the optimal data sources for constructing WikiTree's new Canadian place names database. We're going to walk through the authoritative data that will form the backbone of this system and the technical solution that makes it all possible. Okay, so here's our plan. We'll start by outlining the challenge of Canadian geography. Then, we'll introduce the authoritative data source that solves this problem. After that, we'll get into the specifics of the data integration, cover the vital role of Indigenous names, and finally lay out the strategy for building out the historical database. So first, let's frame the problem we're trying to solve. Canadian place names aren't static. They change over time, they exist in multiple languages, and their jurisdictions shift. Accurately representing this history is the core challenge. For our users, it's not enough to just know a place's current name. They need to understand what that place was called and which jurisdiction it belonged to when their ancestor lived there. So the task requires a data source that can handle this historical and linguistic complexity with real authority and precision. Now let's move to the solution. As it turns out, Canada has a single national coordinating body that's responsible for all standards and policies on place names. This is the Geographical Names Board of Canada, or GNBC. The GNBC structure is what gives it its authority. It's made up of representatives from all federal, provincial, and territorial bodies. This means every name they authorize is official. This centralized authority is exactly what we need to ensure the data is high quality and reliable. And the scale of this resource is significant. The official database, known as the CGNDB, contains nearly 350,000 current approved geographical names. But what's critically important for our genealogical work is that beyond the current names, the database also includes over 37,000 formally approved names. These historical records are key for our users trying to trace their family history. All right, now for the technical details. Let's look at how this data maps directly to the WikiTree database schema. You'll see it's a very straightforward process. As you can see in this table, there's a direct correlation between the source data and our target schema. The CNGDB attributes for name, status, and dates map cleanly into our period names table. This is going to significantly simplify the transformation script. And a crucial point here is that a simple ETL process is possible because the data is available in developer-friendly formats. We can download pre-packaged CSV files directly. This means no web scraping and no complex API integration. It's a simple 3-step process: download, transform, and load. Now, let's move to a distinct but essential data set for this project: Indigenous geographical names. This is a fundamental component for accurately and respectfully representing Canada's heritage. This work is grounded in a human rights context. Article 13 of the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples affirms the right to designate and retain traditional names for places. By incorporating these names, we're aligning with this important international standard. We're talking about a significant amount of data here, close to 30,000 official place names of Indigenous origin. These names represent a heritage that spans more than 60 distinct languages. So, integrating this data is not just a technical task, it's a meaningful contribution to Canada's national reconciliation efforts. It also helps in the revitalization of Indigenous languages. And from a practical standpoint, this information is provided as a separate, downloadable data set, which simplifies the integration process. It's also worth noting that the data providers are transparent about their ongoing work to address historical issues within the dataset, like derogatory terminology. This transparency and commitment reinforces the integrity of the source. Finally, let's look at how this all comes together. We can use these datasets to build a powerful, layered historical database that will serve our users well into the future. The strategy is to first establish a solid baseline using the CGNDB as the authoritative source for the post-Confederation period. Once that foundation is in place, we can then accurately layer in earlier historical data for places like Nouvelle France, Acadia, and early Newfoundland. So by leveraging these official data sets, we're doing more than just populating database fields. We are creating a resource that is authoritative, culturally respectful, and historically robust. This will give our users a far more powerful tool for connecting with their past.
What I want to go to here is Gemini location database. So it's not just the application that Ian and Riel are working on that's interesting here. It's also the database that Alesh is building, and because Alesh's tools look at the database, after we've entered a profile, and it goes and looks at all of the profiles and looks at the place names and to determine whether it's a valid place name or not, according to some metric that he has established. So I think it's important that the database that Ian and Riel are using has the same names as the database that Alesh is using. So anyway, I put this forward. Here's a list of the URIs, or sorry, the sources that I used to produce that video that you just saw a moment ago, and other efforts that I've been making. And I will post this on G2G, the list of documents and URLs. And so anyway, I just wanted to encourage us to talk about this and maybe get people working on putting this in place. I am not a programmer anymore. I have programmed in my life, but I don't anymore. And so I think this is going to fall to other people, including possibly Greg. And Greg has said that yes, he would be interested in being the liaison between WikiTree and the locations Canadian Locations Board. So that's where it is now. I'm hoping that people will be interested in this and it can move forward. Great. Oh, and this is Notebook LM, by the way, that I used to create that video based on these sources and some basic instructions on how to proceed.
Nice. Very cool.
Okay.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that, Murray. That's really neat. Yeah, and important work. I think that we move forward with something like that. Rob, you saw that there was a question. I think you already answered it, right? In the chat.
Yeah, I managed to reproduce the issue, so I'm putting together a bug report now.
Okay.
And I'll have it on my list to fix.
Okay.
It's something to do with the way I'm extracting the first name and last name from an Ancestry profile. It's I can get the full name, but there's a way via scraping a script to get the surname and first name separately. But it seems like that mechanism is not handling some things very well.
Oh,
apostrophes and things, yeah.
I don't see any other questions in the chat. If something comes up after we close it off, then you can always add the question to the G2G post and we will cover it again next month. But anyways, thank you for being with us today and have a great night. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.